my name's Rykelle Kemp. I'm Choctaw, Muscogee, Creek, and Euchee, and Diné. So I kind of cover the southern part of the United States with my tribes. My business name is Alajua, Indigenous Woman Made. Alajua is my Euchee name given to me by my grandmother. So I just kind of wanted to honor her in that aspect as well. So yeah, all right. So let's go ahead and, so I just kind of wanted to start off with how I started my journey as an artist. I actually started off as a printmaker. So these are some of my prints that I've done. These are mono prints. They're done with hand-cut stencils on this side. And then on the left side is painting directly onto plexiglass with inks, and then it's ran through a press, and then you get that one print. And so they're one-of-a-kind pieces. And so on the right side is hogan, which is traditional Navajo home, and then on the left side is squash blossom, which kind of started, you can kind of start seeing, you know, my way to jewelry making as well. So yeah, I wanted to talk about the materials that I'm using because they're kind of specific to my different tribes in the Southeast and the Southwest. So on the left-hand side, you can see a lot of Southwestern turquoise that I use. Some of my favorite turquoise is from the No. 8 mine turquoise, which has a lot of like the browns and the blues together with the different matrix. So I love that, and I love like the different minty kind of turquoise as well. So you can kind of see that in some of my pieces that I have today too. So I wanted to honor, you know, my tribes from the Southwest, being Diné. We use a lot of turquoise, and so I wanted to combine that with my materials from the Southeast. So traditionally we would carve into different shells, and so on the right you can see some mother of pearl shell that's about to be carved and cleaned and ready to be shaped. And then some of these images is what like strikes me when I see them, and I think of my connection to my ancestors, and I really connect with this iconography. And so you'll see the hand in my different pieces that I have today, and also if you go online you can see a lot of photos of pieces that I've done in the past as well. So here's a few of those pieces as well. So these are all actually carved by hand from one piece of shell, and it's all hand cut with a jeweler's saw, and then also using kind of like a Dremel tool as well. And so I'm kind of working with the shell, and it's so crazy because I wanted to combine the silver and the shell itself, and it was funny to kind of work with that to figure out how to do that, because the shell can be so fragile, and so it took a lot of broken shell pieces. I have a box of those at home, so I'm trying to figure out what to do with those still. But I think the outcome of combining those materials, you know, it kind of shows in my work, and you know, the dedication to use those materials in all of my pieces as well, to honor my Southwestern and Southeastern tribes too. So, and then so the silver pieces that are in the center are attached using a technique called cold connections. And so it's actually embedded into the shell itself. And that's a technique that I kind of came up with myself because I wanted to use the metals in the shell. So yeah. Thank you. I know it's so nerve-wracking coming up here and sitting in front of people that I don't know, but thank you. I appreciate that. Yeah, thank you. Yeah, I mean, you know, it's fun because, you know, after being an artist for so long and trying to find my way and figuring it out, like I found my passion, which is working with metals and shell, and the traditional materials of my tribes. And so I think, you know, it feels so good to be able to make these pieces. So yeah, thank you. And then here is a little bit of the process of how I actually make that and how that looks before it's actually put together. So there's a lot of pieces that are incorporated in it. There's a lot of work into each of these, you know, cutting these, polishing them, making sure that they don't break in the meantime. And then after you get them cut out and polished, you have to worry about setting the sterling silver into the shell. And so you're like, oh my gosh, you know, hours of work cutting those out, and it could be gone within like a split second if you hit it wrong with the hammer, because I'm actually using a hammer to set the sterling silver in the shell. So yeah, so that's the only way that you can get the metal to hang over the shell in the very back, so it's permanently embedded in there. So it's a little nerve-wracking, but you know, it's worth it in the end, I believe. And there's a little action photo for you to see a little bit of the texture. So the middle eyepiece is textured silver, and so that's fine silver dust that's adhered to the sterling silver underneath. And so I just really like that look, because it reminds me of tufa casting and that texture that you get. I do tufa casting as well, but it's harder in my home studio. The alarm goes off a lot. So, you know, I'm looking for alternatives to get that texture without having the alarm go off every 5 minutes, because it takes a lot of heat to heat up the metal to kind of do the tufa casting as well. So that was the alternative that I came up with. All right, so this is kind of my creative process. This is what my bench kind of looks like all the time. It's not clean. There's pieces all over the place. And I actually, you know, I hardly ever draw things out. And so I kind of like to sit there and look at the pieces, look at the different pieces I've created, and kind of just sit there. And I think that the shell and the metal kind of, you know what they want to be. And I'm just there to kind of figure it out. So, a messy bench. So these are some close-ups of some pieces that I have. I have a few of the stones set in the mother of pearl. So this is another nerve-wracking technique that I came up with, because it's setting sterling silver into the shell itself, and then after that, after it's set in the mother of pearl in its fragile state, I am setting these faceted stones within the silver that's already in there as well. So that was the progression of like, you know, okay, I got this down, so let's try something even more difficult. So that, yeah, that's kind of, you know, I think that's something, if people see that, they're like, oh, okay, that's a Rykelle piece, because I don't see a lot of people doing stuff like this. So yeah, it's a little action shot, I guess, too. And that one's a labrador. I believe that they're both labradorite stones that are in there. And then so, progressing forward as well with my jewelry and working with shell, I wanted to start incorporating etching into the shell work. And so here, this is probably one of my first pieces that I was commissioned, and it was actually a friend of mine who commissioned a piece, and kind of like, it was just like the best commission piece I ever received, because she's like, I saw that you're working with a mother of pearl and I'm doing a little bit of etching. She's like, hey, how about you try doing a basket design in it? I was like, whoa. I was like, this is awesome. Like, I'm so excited to try this. And it came out really well, and I think that was my progression and my love for working and etching into mother of pearl. So each of these pieces are all done by hand, and you can see how tiny the pieces are. And I loved, you know, working and doing like intricate line work as well. So this is from my Diné side. This is the wedding basket design. So I hand etched all of those into the mother of pearl, and it's set in sterling silver. And I believe that's white sapphires on the very bottom there too. So, and then this is kind of like an outline of what the different different things mean on the wedding basket. It's very cool to kind of, you know, incorporate stuff like this with my different tribes. So, you know, the shell work in my southeastern tribes, and then using the Diné side as well and incorporating that. So, yeah. And then there's some rings that I've done as well. And these are kind of commissioned custom pieces too. So if you have, and I love it, I've had a few people that have asked for me to custom make some basket designs from their own tribes. And I love doing that too. So if you have a basket design that you would like to challenge me with, yeah, let me know, and I would love to make one for you. So, and then this piece was in a gallery in Santa Fe about two years ago, and so that sold pretty much right away. So that was I believe it was about 3 inches by 3 inches. So this was a pretty big piece, and I loved it. I just thought it was so simple and so great. And I wish I still had it for me. And then so it also started to progress into, you know, the markings that people are starting to revitalize. And I kind of wanted to, I'm like, how can I incorporate that into my jewelry? And so, you know, perfect ways, you know, I'm doing the hands already. Let's do some markings on the hands, and, you know, so bringing it back on in the jewelry pieces. So. And then this piece sold in Santa Fe this year as well. So unfortunately, most of these pieces are already sold, but they're great pieces to show. So on the left-hand side, there's some flowers that I did. Those are all freehand on the left-hand side. And those were one-of-a-kind pieces. And then on the right side is kind of my interpretation of a sunflower. And then so my Euchee tribe were known as Soyaha, which means children of the sun. And so I kind of geared towards doing sun motifs in my own way. And so being Soyaha, children of the sun, were sun worshippers. And so the sunflower is actually a sun worshiper as well. So during the day, it kind of follows the sun. And I thought that was special as well. So, yeah. And that's something that can be ordered on my website as well. And then here's some more progression in my work. And I was having fun with the pearls, and I wanted to incorporate those as well when I figured out and, you know, started to do more research into the jewelry in the Southeast, realizing that we did wear pearls. And I thought that was such a cool thing. And they would find them in the mussels in the rivers. So, and it was very rare that, you know, they would have a strand of pearls, but some of them did. And so I kind of wanted to bring that back into my jewelry as well. And I just thought it was like such an intricate, pretty detail to add to that as well. And that's the hand-etched mother of pearl as well. And then in the center is coral, red coral, or peach coral. And coral's used a lot in the Southwest as well. And then also, I think for the seed pearls around the edge there, I kind of got that idea from some antique jewelry. And I'm always looking for different things that inspire me. And it kind of reminded me of some like Edwardian style jewelry. And so I was like, wow, that would be perfect with, you know, what I'm doing, and kind of add something elegant to that as well. So, whoops, sorry. And so that's how that came about. Yeah, let's see. And then on the right-hand side, those are using some juniper berries, which are really prevalent in the Southwest. In my Diné culture, they're also called ghost beads, which are, you know, protection as well. And so I wanted to incorporate that in sterling silver. So yeah, it's really cool to figure out and do research and, kind of learn all the different materials that we would use traditionally, and kind of finding a way to use that with metal, which is pretty cool. Yeah, thank you. And there's little moss agate beads on top as well. And then here's just some playful, fun hoops that I created as well. And I think I just have a few other pieces. And then on the left-hand side, those are really fun. I believe they're Morency mine turquoise, and they had a little bit of pyrite in them, and I loved them because they had like a little bit of sparkle in them. And so I kind of developed, I was like, I love the hoops that I'm doing, and I love the regular hoops that people do, but I wanted to figure out, okay, I want my own style of hoop. And so I was like, why don't we just attach the metal to the bezel itself and then do a hoop from that, so it's actually just one piece there. And so that's what started on the left-hand side, developed from that as well. Yeah, and I think I do have one piece at my booth that has hand-etched mother of pearl and druzy with that same kind of work as well. And then I wanted to work with some horsehair, which I think shows another appreciation for animals and the animals that we work with. And these are just some fun ones that I wanted to do because I love colorful things. And those are all horsehair, but they're all dyed. And those are hand-cut mother of pearl. We've got some Southwest turquoise and a little bit of that hoop action going on as well. And then here's some close-ups and another design on the left, incorporating some seed pearls as well on that one. And then there's the bundles when I'm getting them prepped and ready to be added to some sterling silver. And then here's some tufa casting that I do as well. I do some tufa casting when I have everyone out of the house and I know I can have the doors open. But yeah, I just love tufa casting. I love, the texture that you get. You never really know what you're gonna get. Things can go different, but you always, kind of work with it. And I just love it. And I think, that's something that I look forward to incorporating in my pieces a lot more. Yeah.
Can you tell us how that happens?
The tufa?
Yes.
Yeah, so the tufa stone, it comes from an area where there was lava, where there was where there was a volcano, and that was ash that is condensed. And so it's pretty brittle, but it's just very condensed, fine ash. And so it's condensed enough that if you scratch into it or you use a blade, I use an X-Acto knife to actually carve out these different designs. And then once you carve out the designs, you kind of, I was actually not even taught by anyone. I did this all myself, watching videos or just reading books about it and kind of examining, everyone else's work as well to see how thick they do it and, just the different designs that you can get out of that as well. And so it's just carving into the tufa stone. You have two slabs of it. And so one of them is carved into, and then there's another one that doesn't have any carving on it. And so you kind of push those two together and you wrap like a thick rubber cord around it, and then holds it in place. And then you heat up silver and you get it molten hot, and then you pour it into the upper part of where your opening is, and then you get the casting and you get the one-of-a-kind piece from that as well. So yeah, and then after that, you can kind of see how it's cracked around there. You can't really get another pour out of that, as one would say, jewelers would say. But sometimes you can. Sometimes it depends on the tufa as well, the quality of the tufa. If it's thick, if it's dense enough, and if it holds its shape enough, you can actually get maybe a second one that's not as clear, but maybe a little bit more interesting. So yeah. Did that answer your question a little bit?
Yeah.
Cool. Okay, yeah. I don't know. I'm just playing around with stuff too. Yeah.
This casting seems to be big right now.
Yeah.
You know, in the Southwest.
Yeah, in the Southwest, that's more of a traditional technique that jewelers do, and it uses a lot of silver, and you know that's how you get those big pieces, and you know they're really great and fabulous, and I love those. Yeah. So here's me kind of annealing. Since it's thicker, you have to anneal it and heat it up again to kind of form it every time you form it, so it doesn't crack when you're forming it as well. So that's why I'm heating it up on the right hand side. But on the left hand side, you can kind of see it was cleaned up, and that was put in the pickle, which is an acid wash to kind of get all the residue off of it. And so that's what it looks like, a nice white, crisp kind of silver there on the left hand side. So, and then that would be like the end result of that as well, which is, you know, polished up, and you can still see all of the high points and textures as well in there. And then I think I just have, you know, some pictures of my some current work or past work, and you know my use of iconography and you know the hand, and kind of you know playing with stone setting and figuring that all out, because I'm doing that myself as well, you know, kind of online watching videos, or just kind of playing with the metal until I figure out how to prong set, you know, which is the fun thing. I think is the fun thing about, you know, how I have my own process with jewelry making is I actually, I took one basic class in a jewelry, it was just an art school for anyone. In Phoenix, and it was one basic class where they taught you how to hold a torch, how to light it and not be scared and not burn your house down, and then you know just how to use the pickle, use just the basic tools to kind of get going. And so I did that, and from there I was like, you know, I like it this way, because if I were to apprentice with anyone else, I tend to see that the people that apprentice, their work kind of starts looking like the person that they apprentice from. And so for me, I think that was a blessing in disguise, because, you know, I can truly say that this work is mine, and, you know, this is my own style, and I'm coming up with all these different ways to, you know, make stuff. So. Yeah, and then on the left is some najas, which are on the bottom, the squash blossom necklaces. And I'm just kind of utilizing, you know, different symbolisms. And on the right-hand side is my mound builder ring, and that is from my mound builder ancestors. That's what that represents, is the mounds and the three worlds that we have, which is the underworld, our world, and the upper world. And so there's really a lot of meaning in all the different pieces that I make. So there's story behind all of these pieces, and even all the other artists in there, which is I think the best thing that you get out of shows like this is you get one-of-a-kind pieces, but then you get history and you get stories behind it as well. So I think that's very meaningful. And then here I'm just playing with, you know, different shapes and setting as well, and carving different shapes with the mother of pearl and stone setting. And then some pieces, including some etched mother of pearl. And then this piece was a commission piece, and this one was really fun to do, because I had, you know, someone request, okay, use mother of pearl how you do, and then I want you to add a coyote on top of it somehow. And so you can kind of see the different layers that I've used, and I've even put different sterling silver pieces into the mother of pearl to make the night sky, which was really great, because the black mother of pearl actually has that really nice deep rainbow color that you can use, and it looks like the night sky, which is really great. And then this one is called the Harvest Protector, And it kind of talks about our relationship with the diamondback and the snakes, and in the Southeast, how we would live with them and, you know, respect, and that kind of is how I think about this piece, is just kind of a respect thing, and, you know, the Mother Nature and living with other beings as well in our communities. So, and I just love it because it has, you know, a celestial vibe to it too, where I'm adding, you know, different details, and there's seed pearls set inside of the piece as well. So I just love playing around with different things. So yeah, on the left is some newer pieces. One of them sold, one of them is right here as well. And then on the right side is just a nice kind of simple, but yet, you know, just a different piece incorporating sterling silver, the seed pearls, and turquoise. And then this piece I created for the Santa Fe Indian Art Market show, and this piece is actually double-sided. So this was a tricky thing to figure out, and to set both of them at the same time, so they're both connected to each other on both sides, in between. So, and I don't have a picture of like how it was set up, but it's all one piece. It's all, yeah. And I think that's it. So thank you.